Welcome back, everyone. We're switching things up today a little bit. Instead of, our usual deep dive into a single article, we're taking you on a whirlwind tour.
Yeah, a whirlwind tour of the Faroe Islands.
Exactly.
We're using a whole bunch of different news articles to give you a taste of Faroe's life.
Right, from sources like Faeroe, in.fo, and vp.fo. We'll cover, well, a little bit of everything.
It's really fascinating, actually, because we get to see how a different culture reports on events, since these articles were originally written in Faroes.
That's a really good point. It's like another layer of understanding their news. Okay, so, the Faroe Islands, they're all the way up in the North Atlantic.
Between Norway and Iceland.
Right, right. But let's move beyond geography. Their economy relies, like, really heavily on seafood exports.
Yeah, and there's been some interesting developments on that front.
For sure. And Faeroe and vp.fo both reported a pretty significant drop in those exports.
820 million kroner less, to be exact.
820 million. That's a lot of fish.
It is. Makes you wonder what's going on there. Could be a sign of, like, global demand shifting, or maybe changes in fishing practices, something we'll have to keep an eye on for sure.
Definitely something to watch. And speaking of fishing, vp.fo also had a report about a trawler that needed a tow.
Oh yeah, just north of Klaksvik.
It just goes to show how vital a healthy fishing industry is to the Faroe Islands.
Right, every boat counts. Okay, shifting gears a bit here, let's talk politics.
Politics, always exciting.
In Betifo had this whole thing about the upcoming municipal elections. Get this, there are 68 candidates running for leadership in Tórshavn. 68.
Wow, that's a lot of people who want to be in charge.
I guess so. But seriously, it's really interesting to see that level of political engagement. People are obviously passionate about shaping their local community.
And it's not just national politics either. vp.fo had an article about a school building renovation project.
In Tórshavn, right. The Frailsey School.
That's the one. And the winning proposal for the renovation came from an architectural firm, SNA.
It might seem like a local issue, but it actually says a lot about the bigger picture, like how the Faroe Islands approaches education, community investment, even architectural design. It's all connected.
And speaking of the bigger picture, in.fo also had this article about, get this, financial support that some Faroes political parties get.
From Denmark, I saw that one.
Yeah, from Denmark.
Yeah.
Definitely raising some eyebrows.
It's kind of a sensitive subject. The Faroe Islands are self-governing, but that financial link to Denmark definitely adds another layer.
Definitely makes you wonder about the influence it has, right?
For sure. But, sometimes it's the smaller stories that are the most interesting.
Totally.
Like I was reading about this search for a missing school principal in vp.fo.
Oh, yeah, that was kind of unsettling.
It just reminds you that even in a place that seems as idyllic as the Faroe Islands, life can be unpredictable.
It really does. Oh, and then there's this whole thing about a ransomware attack in Klaksvik.
vp.fo again. Cybersecurity is so important these days. It just goes to show it can happen anywhere.
Seriously. But hey, it's not all doom and gloom. vp.fo also had this really fun story.
Fun. Okay, you've got to tell me.
So there's a chef on the Norrøna ferry.
Okay, I'm intrigued.
This chef made a mind-boggling number of pancakes.
Mind-boggling. How many are we talking here? 100? 1,000?
1.5 million.
1.5 million pancakes. Wow. Talk about dedication, right?
No kidding. Okay, on a more serious note, though, vp.fo also had a report on that fishing vessel that sank. Tragically, 13 people lost their lives.
Oh, that's right. That was heartbreaking.
It's a stark reminder that, for all the positive stories, there's also, unfortunately, tragedy. And this one hits particularly close to home for the Faroe Islands, with so many people making their living at sea.
Absolutely. And it makes you think about the bigger picture, the Faroe Islands' place in the world, Like in.fo had an article about their support for Ukraine.
Right, right. It's easy to think of the Faroe Islands as being geographically isolated. But this shows they're still very much engaged in global events.
And actively contributing. The article talked about the Faroes Red Cross sending aid to Ukraine, which is really remarkable.
It is. It shows a real commitment to helping others, even on the other side of the world.
Exactly. So we've seen the Faroe Islands grappling with economic challenges, navigating their relationship with Denmark, and even, showing solidarity with a country facing conflict.
It's been a pretty comprehensive look at their reality. And speaking of which, we can't forget about Faroes culture. vp.fo had this piece about the upcoming Heistglow cultural night in Klaksvik.
Heistglow, let's see, that translates to autumn glow.
Right.
Yeah.
That's right. Sounds amazing, doesn't it? There's going to be traditional pharaohs, chain dancing, food stalls. It's a chance to really experience their culture firsthand.
Speaking of experiencing things firsthand, have you ever had skirpik?
Skirpik, isn't that like fermented mutton?
Wind-dried fermented mutton, to be exact. An acquired taste, you could say.
I think I'll stick to the pancakes personally.
1.5 million to choose from. But in all seriousness, Heistglod sounds like a really special event, and it kind of brings us to a final thought, I think.
Okay, what's that?
How does this geographic isolation we keep talking about, this being nestled in the North Atlantic, how does that impact the Faroe Islands? Not just their culture, but their economy, their politics, their whole identity. It's fascinating to think about.
It really is. And on that note, I think we've covered a lot of ground today. We've gone from fish exports to political intrigue, from cyber attacks to pancake making marvels, and even delved into the world of fermented mutton. It's been quite a journey through the Faroe Islands.
What a journey indeed.
So, to our listeners, thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the news. We hope you found it as fascinating as we did. Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep asking those thought-provoking questions.